All right, everyone. Welcome to the Launching a Wix App Spotlight. This is our first spotlight, and today we're joined by Duncan Simpson of Phoe Design. He's put together a really neat app and is going to take us through his process and perspective of launching his very own Wix app for the first time. I want to also give a special shout out to Brandon of the New Form community for providing the streaming resources for this event. You've been really great, Brandon. Thank you. And at the end of the session, we'll be answering questions. So if you have any, please make sure to drop them in the chat down below. And so, Duncan, if you want to take it away and maybe give a little bit of an intro about yourself.
Yeah, so thanks, Anthony, and thank you, Brandon, again for hosting and for the opportunity. So I'm Duncan from Phoe Design. I'm going to talk about just an introduction to myself and a little bit of my background, give a demo of my debut marketplace application, Stores tool and its capabilities, discuss like my journey about releasing that app, kind of talk openly about the kind of challenges and my experience, provide a bunch of insights for y'all, answer the questions, and kind of hopefully inspire you to release your own app as well. So I'm a Wix Legend level partner. I've been working in the platform exclusively for about 8 years. And I've really been on a journey with Wix. And I'm really excited for what Wix currently has now to offer developers and agencies and clients and what's on the horizon. Hopefully that'll kind of come through in this spotlight. So my speciality is in bespoke builds. That my background's in product design engineering. I've worked in heavy design and manufacturing, commercial products, mass production, optimization, business processes before setting up as a kind of web developer. And you take this diverse multi-discipline skill set to building bespoke websites with advanced functionality. And that kind of naturally leads me to my enthusiasm for Velo and the aptitude for problem solving and meeting clients' needs. Like I really enjoy being at the forefront of pushing what's possible with Velo. And I think that speaks to why I had a drive to release an app to the market and learn from that experience, and why I chose the type of app that I chose to develop and release. So to introduce the app, Stores tool with my tagline, take control of your Wix store and product media. It's a dashboard-based application for streamlining the management and organization of a Wix store. And I think it captures really nicely the ethos of blocks, but from that kind of interesting angle that brings from my skill set. So it was born from requirements that my clients have in terms of managing their store. And over the years, I've developed lots of little bespoke tools, code snippets, and dashboards for helping management. But now I can kind of package all of this up into like a powerful tool, an app that like all partners, developers, and customers can kind of use. So before I go into kind of demonstration, I wanted to highlight that this entire app is built natively in Wix Blocks using Velo and integrating with Wix Stores and Wix Media. And I think it's really interesting for this showcase to display kind of the power of these technologies and Blocks and Velo, where things were at, if anyone's previously worked on them, and where they are kind of going and emerging. And this technology it doesn't have to be used in something that's launched in the marketplace. It could be for a single site, for multiple sites internally inside an agency as well. And I'm leveraging some of the most recent developments in Velo here to satisfy the functionality. And I think that really speaks to where Wix is going and how much of the effort they're putting in for our developers, and to pardon the pun, giving us the building blocks to develop there. So I've got a kind of demo of my app. So here I've built up a demo store, and anyone familiar with Wix Stores will just know this is the standard product catalog here, where I've fleshed out a lot of products and information and media. And this is my Stores tool app. So it's accessible through the website dashboard. And in the top header, we have filtering, searching, and sorting functionality, as well as some bulk processing tools, which I'll talk about a little later. And we're greeted with kind of these rich product cards that are full of information and management features for each product in my catalog. So we have the ability to view and edit key attributes like the visibility, the name, SKU, we get increased visibility of the slug, your pricing, you can change the discount type, and save these all to the actual Wix store. And the focus here is all on kind of maintaining that management and quick aspect to your store. What we also gain is visibility of what category a product is attributed to, and instant access to edit them and save them. And if we talk about one of the key flagship features of Stores tool, is about managing media that's associated with a product. So here we can see that the media that's associated with this product has kind of a computerized file name. It's completely unorganized, wouldn't be searchable, and wouldn't be findable. And what Stores tool can do is take the attributes of from a product and rename the media so that it is findable. So in a single click, it can take that media and rename it. Yeah, so now I could utilize that in other parts of my website. So one of the other features, we can link directly to the product page as we're going through the dashboard, and also link directly to the Wix product editor page. So if we needed to do more extensive changes in a tool there, so you can maintain that efficiency in managing a store. So just to show that we can, example for editing, I can change the price of this product, change the discount in it. I can quickly remove an erroneous category for handbags because it's not meant to be in there, or make multiple selections across the checkboxes there. Click Save. And we'll just refresh the live page of the site to show that that has actually been applied. And look at the refreshed Wix product editor to show that that category, that handbags, has been removed. There. So if I look at some of the sort, search, and filtering tools what Stores tool can provide, and about the management organization, you can start to interrogate a store. So you can filter by a category and kind of start building up a query to interrogate here by giving it a price banding, and change what I'm searching or filtering by in my sort order, and then can start to interrogate my store. And through those media, those management tools that we provide in each card, you can start to manage my store. And I can do a filter there that says give me the products that are less than 100 for price, and sort them as well. So one of the features in the kind of V2 release is this copy of filter. And again, I'm just trying to address problems that were involved in managing a Wix store. So when you duplicate a product, you get the copy of, in this case, a copy of trainers as my URL, which isn't effective for SEO. But Stores tool can bring this to light, filter by them. You can quickly edit the slug for their URL, save that, and improve the management of your store again. So just showing there that the URL has changed from Stores tool. We can also search if we're looking for a particular product, or by name or SKU, and again start to manage your store, or start to look at a particular product that you're wanting to use or change or have an issue with. So I'll touch on some of the bulk editing features as well. So providing renaming all your media in bulk. So I can select that I want to rename the media for all these products by the name and the SKU. Select the products I want to edit or exclude ones that I don't, and simply run through all of them and change all that media. Go. And if I look at the kind of media manager for what this kind of stores looks like, it might be quite common for those that do currently have a store that it's all disorganized, it's all flat. There's no kind of organization behind it. So it's very hard to find and use and utilize this media. And I have a folder here for my footwear. So with Stores Tool, we can filter by the category for our footwear, and then select the bulk tool and move all that media into that folder. Again, just to show that, returning to the media manager there, the stores were starting to get organized, and that gives me the native ability to start managing and utilizing that. Again, I can click the rename bulk tool and simply apply the name and SKU again, and that will go through all that media and rename it, and that will now be searchable and findable. And just showing there that we have all this product media now organized and renamed. So if I was needing to send this out or use this in my website, use this in email marketing, send out to a client or customer, or send out to the printers, whatever it is, I can now find that very easily, whereas I wouldn't have been able to do that before. Feature I'm showing off now is I'm actually going to remove the images from this product and refresh the store. So this is looking at actually building a store. If you have media that has currently got file names that are applied to the product attributes here, and just showing that I've got it in my media manager, it's named and it's got the SKU number in its name for the file name. What we can actually do is select that product and go into attach media to a product here, and we're using the SKU in the variable that I can define. Click the button, and that would build that product media to the store. So this might be about importing a CSV where you're coming over from an import or a different competitor platform where you have all this information and you have organized media, but attaching them to the store is obviously very difficult and time consuming. So now Stores Tool can take that management away from you and build up that store for you from scratch. So I'll just show that the actual product has been applied there, and the media is in there. So I'll look at some of the major bulk processing tools that I've also supply in Stores Tool. So if you're considering renaming it, it would obviously be great to be able to filter and use that dashboard. But what if you need to rename thousands of products, tens of thousands of media items? So you can do that with basically a single click here, and this will process through the entire store. You can filter by visibility and category if you want to refine it, or the number of products that you're wanting to run for. And basically this will go through the entire store. And this is one of the kind of flagship feature, because it was a driving force behind saying, should I develop this app? So I had a client with 13,000 media images associated with their 4,000 products in their store. And with a single click, with writing and building this tool and utilizing Velo here, I could do all that management. I dread to think how long it would take to actually reorganize that. So they've had their store a number of years. They've just been building it, attaching media to it, and it was completely unorganized. So whenever they wanted to use anything in a splash or a preview and hero or send anything out to a customer who was interested, it was just unfindable and unusable. So an hour and 45 minutes later, every single one of those 13,000 images or images and videos is renamed and finally findable and searchable. There. So just let that finish off for this store and all the products there. And show in the media manager that's now all renamed. So it's starting to get a lot more organized, and that's across the entire store there. And if I search for any SKU number, I'll be able to find it. So similarly, I have a bulk moving media into a folder. So that's just selecting a particular category, this time accessories, and a folder that I have called accessories, and moving all that media in. So you can obviously run this for multiple categories, however you're wanting to organize your store, and basically bring a lot more efficiency and management and productivity to it. Again, just showing that's moved all the media for my accessories into an organized folder. So last thing I want to show off in the dashboard itself and the product card related to the media, now that I've got it organized, I can download directly images inside Stores tool. So if I did need to send an individual item out, I could search for it in Stores tool and directly download. And I can download a zip of all the media for a particular product. I'm just showing that, so that's downloaded into my history there. So I've provided 3 dashboards in Stores tool, and that basically each of these dashboards has particular features and largely around filtering, sorting, and organizing here. So they all have attributes depending on what you're looking to do. And if we look to the snapshot mode, what this does is gather a snapshot of your entire store and provide you with these extra filtering functionalities. So you can load a previous one if it does take a long time to select a snapshot. And I can grab one here in a click. And what I'm presented with in the sort, search, and filter is an entire new row where I can interrogate my store now by inventory, by weight, by cost, discount price, and what's on sale. So if I start to narrow down, I'm looking at my accessories, where the discount price is 10 or less, the cost of 3 or more. I can start to filter down that query and use combinations of all these searches and filters, and where my inventory is 10 or more, and get those products, analyze them, and utilize them there. So just clearing that out. So I was interested in accessories that are on sale, for instance. We can manage that, bring efficiency and optimization into that, either change the discount, remove the discount, remove the visibility, whatever I was wanting to do with bring efficiency to my store's management. And just to show off the last dashboard I have is kind of an export mode for utilizing the same features, but maybe across a really, really large store. So a couple of thousands of products, maybe tens of thousands, where it'd be more efficient to have an export from Wix that you can do from Wix Stores. Go in and upload that export and read it into Stores tool. So I've uploaded that CSV there, and this will process through and just show that can also be used in Stores tool with the similar advanced filtering functionality that we had in the Snapshot. Again, here with the export mode lets me filter by hidden products as well. Which is kind of looking at the differences in comparison table between those few dashboards there. So that's hopefully my overview of the app itself. I would hope that people who are familiar with working a store that would satisfy some of the needs that they have, and be like really exciting as in terms of features that they can either use for their own stores, for their client stores, if they're a partner, because that's the reason that I made the app itself. So Showcase was obviously wanting to talk about my development and my process, and going through it and launching this app. As I said, that I was really interested in the motivation for developing an app to learn this process and go through it. So it took about 2 months as a project from creating the block to getting it launched on the app market, including the submission process. Unlike agency work, there's a lot of factors which are outside of your control, and the submission process for me was a big unknown. You can't just publish a patch to any minor upgrades. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics about working in an app like that. Additionally, as a business, it's an entirely speculative investment. So you're only going to earn after the completion, after it's been released, and that is a risk. And I wanted to balance that with my investment appropriately and plan my time and my development to cut off, because there's a wealth of other responsibilities that are involved in releasing an app. And it's kind of go through a kind of list of those. You've got your research, technical investigation, your design and planning, functional build, UI build, testing environment, your refinement, your testing, improvements, user testing, marketing, demo videos, demo sites, supporting material, app listings, privacy policies, pricing and plans, upgrade access, analytics features, version control, your partner agreement, your installation testing, submissions, review modifications, more testing, and resubmission. Kind of wanted to present that kind of intentionally as that kind of overwhelming list in a fashion, because it really is. You're not just developing an individual app and product, and you've invested all that time in the development. You're also launching an entire phone process. And for me as a kind of sole developer in an agency, it was all about balancing that for my time. So to highlight a couple of key items, and I'm not going to go through every one in depth, just the first three and some other things. And you've got your researching something, finding out what current apps are in the market, what technology is there currently available from Wix, and what they've got in the roadmap. You don't want anything to become obsolete instantly as you're developing and investing in that. What tech do you have? What competitors are in their market? And what's their kind of pricing and market research there? And something kind of my development process, kind of indulge to talk about there, because it's my personal kind of journey through this, is kind of technical investigations. And this isn't necessarily specific to kind of app development or the design and development. It applies to kind of anything. And this for me is about establishing kind of proof of concept for a technical challenge that I haven't delivered before. So personally working in blocks, working in the dashboard blocks and how they specifically interact. And from a developer's point of view, I jump into things, and I jump into things very strategically. I try and prove out what's the core technology, what's the missing part of my knowledge that I don't know. isolating that in a little test and investigation to greenlight it for usage. I think this is something I find quite common in the community is people might have written a couple of hundred lines of code and they're using CMS, data queries, filtering repeaters, events and repeaters, and they're having an issue potentially with something like loading the data into that repeater, but they've never actually proved out how to do that in Velo for themselves. And now it's really complicated inside, it's enveloped and clouded and all this other functionality. So breaking out these steps for me as part of my process is really important and has massive payoffs in my learning, the development time, I'm working on the build. If I've got an issue, I can say what's the difference between what I had proved out and what I've currently got going there. So I wanted to kind of highlight that and as part of the process and how I go about things. So part of the planning as well in the planning phase for me and why I'm raising this is a lot about the kind of business case and how much time and investment I'm going to do. What functionality am I going to provide out the box in version 1 and version 2? What's essential and what's nice to have and what's can potentially come in the future. And I kind of consciously made a decision to establish the app's functionality and can prove its value and invest its time there. Over something like the user interface and the graphics. And I'm kind of being quite brutally honest here as well, and I think that shows. And I'm really excited to kind of take those into future stages and future phases and developments. And as I kind of reflect on even version 1 and version 2 that kind of released, of saying, well, why didn't I just add this there? Why didn't I take another hour here, another day, another couple of days? To establish that functionality, but you have to remember that I've got all this entire list of things to do as well inside the development process, which can be quite daunting, and to highlight, to take that into the planning stages of developing the app, and I was very conscious of that. And to touch on the testing that I mentioned over and over again, I had to develop my own test site, develop code to kind of reset that and make sure things are functioning. It's a lot of time to process and create new sites, test the installation process, make sure that flows are working over and over again. And why that's obviously really important inside the app development process is because once you submit it for review and publishing, you can't edit that. You can't simply just fix a little minor update that you could if you're developing an internal thing or something for your website. So it was really important for me, especially that once I sent that out, I was comfortable with where it was at, and I wasn't having little bugs or little features coming in. And the last one to highlight is how much work is involved in that wider aspect in the marketing, demo videos, demo sites, and supporting materials. And that's obviously is a big investment. You have to have a cutoff point to kind of produce that media and those items, to think about how you're going to get listed, how it's going to get found, and how you have to sell it in the end of the day. So to touch upon a few of the kind of challenges that I kind of encountered during this, I'd say the biggest one was really making those decisions of how I wanted to do it in relationship to my business case, how much time I wanted to spend on that, and getting that app launched. And being comfortable with those decisions and those areas that I invested in. It's always so easy to say more, and better. But having those, I think that was quite difficult for myself as being an adventurous developer. And again, returning to the testing, working with stores, Wix Stores and Wix Media, these aren't actually available inside a block, so the previewing of those features doesn't work. So I had to set up a lot of testing environments. Proving those little bits of technical investigations in isolated code, potentially in testing sites as well. And I was going to publish, you have to publish a lot of testing builds, go across into a testing environment, check that that's working, kind of go back through that cycle, which is a little bit laborious and challenging to kind of set up in a different way and then develop in a different way, which was really interesting, for myself. And the last aspect there that I've listed is working in dashboard and blocks. I've demoed version 2 there, but which has the ability to open the media manager. But that API wasn't available when I first released it. It was released on the 15th of April, and I released my app on the 15th of February, and I was intent on, right, I need to upload an export. I'm going to use an upload import button, and that doesn't function the same way it does on a live site. So it's been a long time in that technical investigation, bashing my head against the wall and didn't have it working. And it had a pretty poor open media manager, upload your file, copy your URL, paste it into this input. And it's really welcome for Wix to release those new updates and stay on the forefront of them, because it made a massive difference to my the user experience that I can supply my customers here as well. So yeah, some of those interesting challenges about just working with blocks and what's a little bit different, and where those nuances are between website work and app development, and what's generic across a lot of things. So if I talk about the kind of submission process, and then for me this was one of the largest known unknowns. It was obviously my first time through the application process. You can read about it in the documentation, but you don't exactly know. And I knew that this was kind of large and looming major step inside the application, which is why I was keen to make sure that I had established enough functionality myself, but was ready to release in due time as well. So the app review process is documented as up to 15 business days, and I'll just kind of go through my personal experience with this to hopefully shed some insight on the kind of down the line effects for anyone considering doing an app. It was reviewed at 14 business days and was rejected on quite thankfully quite minor grounds. So I declared a couple of permissions that I didn't need to because I was using Velo. Thought I needed to declare stores and media, but I didn't. So that was just a misunderstanding on my part. And I hadn't adequately checked for I originally released as a premium only, but I didn't know that you had to also check for that in your app and manage that regulation yourself, which wasn't obvious during the testing, all the testing and installations that I did. So that was really good and valuable knowledge that I can take on to my my next applications or in the next development cycle. And as well as I put a book a demo link into my demo site, and that wasn't allowed because unfortunately I can't demonstrate a dashboard app in a traditional sense. And actually that discovered a bug in the app listings, and I was unfortunately unable to remove that. And it took about a week for the Wix devs team to fix that. So I'm just kind of highlighting that some factors in this is outside your control, and that has to be part of a planning process. I'm really glad I did kind of plan a bit of leeway there in what I was doing, but it kind of highlights of how you can be so prepared, but something that's just outside of your control is unfortunate. There. So just slightly reflecting on my experience before I go into kind of questions and conversation with Anthony. Overall, it's been a fantastic experience. I wanted to learn kind of the app development process and go through and hopefully share kind of those learning, those highlights that I've gone through. It's been a massive expansion to my knowledge base and my portfolio. And one of the key reflections, not necessarily a mistake, but a reflection that I made, I tried that premium only pricing plan because I was wanting. It didn't matter if it had 10 products or 10,000 products. I wanted it adds value to the store and kind of had a low price associated with it. And none of the current features are resource based, so I didn't want to scale it. It's just about the time it takes to run and manage that store. And although the initial installs were good and I had some nice premium upgrades, I now offer in my V2 version a free plan, and it was good A/B test and a good opportunity to do that. But I would recommend if someone is going to do that to plan out what they're going to do with a free plan, because it has for me had a notable increase in kind of installs, and that's a great opportunity for people to recognize the value of my app and upsell to them inside it. So I'm really excited for the plans that I have for my own app inside this, going into a phase kind of over, UI and identity overhaul, working with partners, identifying some feature improvements that I can implement, and even working potentially with the Wix Stores team for bigger ideas that I have. And as I mentioned, ever since Blocks was released, I've been excited about it. I think it's a fantastic technology and really positive about it realizing its potential, especially inside the kind of app development system. And I see these recent technology developments in Blocks and Velo, that's facilitating a lot of the great things that this app can do, SPIs and Studio, with a real inflection point for Wix as a system. Really excited to build inside it and see what others do. It's just kind of fantastic. I think it's a fantastic point to be in the platform. So I'll just finish off. There's a link to my link to install the tool on the Wix marketplace there. It's free to install, so please do if you've got a store to try out on, and if you want, you can upgrade to a premium plan there for kind of low cost. And if there's any features that anyone would like to see in Stores too, please do reach out to me either directly via email or on Discord or in questions in the chat, and we can go on from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Duncan, for the presentation. I think I learned a lot about kind of what the developer experience is, but now we're going to go to the questions. So first question up, and if anybody has any other questions, please toss them in the chat, is where did you get your inspiration for app development, and how did you decide which idea is worth building?
So I talked about how it kind of grew from kind of clients' needs. So I've obviously, part of my kind of speciality in bespoke tools is managing, is building a couple of kind of custom stores, and I have custom requests. I've done quite a lot of work for like antiques. Selling antiques online, and they have kind of nuances and interactions about them. So I really think like it's been a long time kind of coming about what I've kind of learned of what people might want in a management tool and what is accessible currently in Wix, and your own frustrations. I think some of the best design is being like, well, why can't I do this? I want to be able to do it, and I have the skill set to be able to produce that. So basically, it was making a list of the features that I think were missing and saying, well, I can supply this, in my app, and then, as I said, planning out what I'm going to do in terms of supplying them, if I can technically deliver them, as well in a kind of a good time frame.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Were there any features in particular that you think you had? This is kind of just my follow-up question to that. You had either an easy time implementing or faced a bit of challenge. Anything there?
So I think I'm an expert in working in Velo, so I really knew most of it. I'd taken a couple of investigations to make sure that accessing the media, some of those were new APIs, as I said, that working with file management, working with the media manager, and just making sure that I can prove them out. So, and again, there's always a nuance in working with any individual item there, and making sure that IDs are passed correctly, or how we want to pass them into the Velo APIs. But largely, I think most of the functionality there was for me just stuff that I'd obviously previously developed in either little snippets or across various clients' websites. And again, expanding that all into kind of packaged application and interface there. That's not to say it was easy at all. But I knew that I could prove those technologies, and that's why I mentioned those technical investigations. That I knew I can do it once. I can do it for one product. I can do it in a block for one product, one media item. I just need to expand that across stores and make sure it works inside there. And those 3 dashboards as well kind of talk to what we can and can't do currently. And I've got some exciting ideas about working with Wix to hopefully streamline that and make it better for all partners and all availability.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. That kind of leads into the next question here, which you kind of touched on a bit already, but what was your approach to making a user-friendly UI? Do you have any tips or tricks for UI and UX?
As I said, I was going when I was making this presentation. I wanted to address the reality that I didn't put a massive amount of effort there into my UI, and I was saying I think that does show, and that's not to say it's necessarily bad, but I wanted to make sure that functionality was delivering. It's a very practical optimization based tool, and I had to prove out that this is my first time in the marketplace. What's going to be the uptake? What's going to, how are people going to find it, or is anyone going to use it? These are big kind of ominous questions when you're thinking about it as a business case. So I basically wanted to make it, good from my perspective, make sure that the users I was testing with could kind of understand things. But I'll be honest, I think there's a gigantic room for improvement, and that's why kind of on my own personal kind of phase plan, it's something that I'm really going to look into, making sure that's more clear. Now I've established all that functionality and done the kind of a lot of the hard coding and difficult parts of it to improve that user interface and make it even more friendly. Like how can you gain better visibility of that product dashboard? How can it be not as cluttered, really, and manageable?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Coding is kind of like art in that it's an iterative process. It's never one and done. It's always continually ongoing.
Yeah. Sorry. I was just going to say there as well. Being comfortable with that as well, I think is a really great attribute to have. Being comfortable that I'm going to be able to revise this. I'm going to deliver something. I'm going to stick to my plan, and then say there's always room for improvement, and not getting I think the old phrase of don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of similar in that thread, we have a question from Chris Dorrell in the chat. How did you decide on paid versus free features for your app?
I made a pretty quick decision. As I said, I wanted to kind of release it as a premium only. Originally, that was my vision, that I'd put in all this investment to saying, here's a demo, here's what it does. If you want it, buy it, and it wouldn't matter to me necessarily if you'd changed, 50 products or 100,000. It was adding value and efficiency there. So what I've actually done with the free version for myself is more of a kind of taster. So you get it has a limit of 5 products, and it has just the live dashboard, but all the features are inside there. So basically just limits the number of products that are showed in each query to 5, and that lets people kind of see if this tool works for them, establish that it wants to go and provide that route to upgrade. Whereas I don't think it has as clear cut a kind of premium version, free version as maybe a front end application would.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And also it just gets people to actually try it out and kind of get a taste for what it can do and really understand it. I feel like when you do it on video, it's one thing, but when you can actually interact with it, it's definitely more beneficial to the users. So it's good to see that you kind of worked that out and went with it. Let's see. There's one more question here. So you had a lot of lessons from launching the Wix app for the first time. What would you say is your biggest lesson that you took away from all this?
That's quite a good question. As I said, I kind of looked on those reflections. I think, again, I suppose from a business side, that free versus premium, including that, as a decision, I think that I didn't make the right one out of the box there, but that's great. I can kind of upgrade and get them in. And I think the ability to make sure that I'm planning, and I was actually quite proud of making sure I'm saying this is what I'm going to deliver, this is what I'm going to make, and kind of stopping off, because as I said, there's always more. There's always more that you can add. There's always more little features, more little bits of code and user interface that you can do there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's it then for the questions. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
From myself, no. I think thank you very much, for listening. I hope it's not just been a kind of advertisement for my app as well, but to inspire someone to do that. And part of it that I hope it wasn't missed, that this is all done in native blocks and with Velo. So this is accessible to all developers, and get stuck in, open the docs, read them. And as I say, I like to jump in. I'm very practical. I like to prototype, test out, and build, and hopefully someone who, if there's anyone watching that was thinking about considering app, I definitely encourage them to do that and take that learning experience, because and I suppose that's one of my biggest takeaways, that I went through this process. Success or failure, it was really interesting to learn this new part of Wix, this new emerging technology, and now I can take that knowledge to my other clients. You can use it internally, build blocks, and you don't have to release into that marketplace. But I would encourage it to go through that. It's a really fun thing for a developer to do.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have one more last minute question from Chris. He was wondering, if we don't mind, which of course we don't, what feature are you building next that probably will be the most technically complex?
Next technically complex feature. So I'm going, I think, to kind of a bit of an insight, I'm going to kind of map out and design what would do with bulk management of a store, and really getting into, potentially the concept of, increasing all my, X products by a price or something, and getting into changing a lot of bulk management and media tools. So just being able to increase prices, decrease prices, apply things, and kind of getting into those logic rules. So I haven't mapped that out. It's basically a concept I'm interested in seeing if people would be interested in, for being able to say, I don't have to export and change things. Like, how efficient could that seasonal management of products be? I think that'll be really interesting, and how I approach that, I suppose, more from the design side, and as well what that translates to in terms of the coding.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. All right, then. So thank you very much to Duncan of Phoe Design for the wonderful presentation and the walkthrough of his tool as well. I think it was all really great. I even learned a lot. So I'm going to go actually back and watch this video later, because there was quite a lot in there. Also, big thanks to Brandon of Newform for helping with the stream again, and to all of the attendees for your wonderful questions, for your energy in the chat. We really appreciate it. If we were just having these and not involving anyone, there would be no point. So really, you're all what makes this all happen. So this has been our very first spotlight. Next month's topic will be a retrospective on Dev Studio Con. Dev Studio Con is happening at the end of this month in Bangalore, India. And we'll do a little recap here next month in July on the technical site design and experience and takeaways of the conference. So that's all for this session, and the date for the next session is TBD, but we'll share it with ample time on the Discord when it comes up. And once again, thank you very much to Duncan for presenting, and have a good day, everybody.